Okay. Scout Davis has joined, but Scout Davis needs to be the co-host. So maybe you. Thanks for experimenting.
That's so weird.
So maybe, because I think now you're just witnessing, and I need you to be a co-host. Invite you to participate. It's live on sub. No, don't watch it.
Accept. But now I'm unable to accept that if I approve. Huh. Well, here, let me go that way. Watch an app. Ben.
Add guests. Oh.
I'm dead.
You're alive. You're alive.
Okay, I'm on mute. It's on me.
Did you mute yourself?
I thought you did.
You did.
But there's still a little feedback. Oh, because my sound. Look at you.
I see me.
God.
They're like, why would you be in the same room?
You're messing up with the entire thing.
Mike. Zoom audio. Da-da-da. Well,
maybe if I put my hat on instead.
back on. It's not terrible.
Oh, well, now it's gone. Oh.
Because you muted your audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no. That's bad.
It's just like feedback. Oh.
I think.
This is what we would typically, technically test. So I'm seen in mine. You're seen in yours. I can also do this. This is fun.
You could do a little in between.
How many screens does it take?
This is crazy. Here, I can do this too.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. Between this?
Yes.
They're not. All right. Well, hey. We're here.
We're here.
I mirror eye. Oh yeah. See So this is where we're gonna practice our angles.
Great. Let me get into it. Oh my god, now I know how you self-tapers feel.
Yes, exactly. This is torture
This is
101.
hell.
This is hell. This is hell. But I like this.
Yeah, this is great.
Why not?
Why not?
Um, oh yeah, look at that up here. That's fun.
Oh, great. Oh, perfect.
How close do we have to get? Okay. All right.
I'm dead.
Are we done being? That was 5 minutes and 45 seconds of silly.
Silliness.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
I'm so excited. And I'm appreciative I'm appreciative of a lot of things. One, your willingness to just go for it. And since we met, which we will talk about soon, I've just always been like, who is this? And how did they find me? And how did I get so lucky?
Hmm.
So who are you?
I'm a scout. I use
Tell the people.
they, them pronouns.
Yes.
And well, we first met with me seeing you on stage and seeing you in Schoolgirls at MCC, and falling in love instantly. And like that, there's like few nights at the theater where it feels so cosmic, both in terms of like who was in the audience was like kind of crazy, both in terms of like the energy level and then like random like Hal Prince was there and just like a
Hal Prince? I thought you said Prince, and I was like, I don't think
not that timeline, not
Prince
that
Rogers
timeline.
Nelson was that's cool.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Uh,
I'm dead. So I was just like in a room where it felt like energized and active and like intergenerational and like all of the things. And then the play like gobsmacked me, and then I like the rest is history. And then seeing you in Russian Doll and just like continuing to follow up from afar as I was like in grad school and trying to find like tethering. I just felt, I don't know, it's a moment, even in like an audition reel with an actor that you don't know, where it's like there's an aura around them that's like glowing and glistening. And we may be in like a shitty fluorescent studio room, but
what?
it's
This is
still
beautiful.
happening. Like it's still like able to be possible.
Mhm.
And I felt that with you. And then when we first like initially met in person and started to like talk about art and life and all the things, um, it just felt so easy. And it felt like there was already some kind of foundational shared language, even if it was like in the nascent stage of like it being formed in real time over a coffee or what have you. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like my partnerships can be so rooted in family and the like personal connection point, and then the rest can feel what it wanted to feel like when we all first started doing this, like that sense of play and that sense of like um no judgments of like leading into the fullness of getting to create and what kind of failure may come up from that or success or anything in between, and like just cherishing that present moment of that. um I feel like then the rest is kind of history with us in that way, right? Like it just started like the ball rolling from talks and walks and seeing shows and kind of everything in between.
Yes. Wow. I mean, you just took us on a history lesson. And thank you for that. I do love to start in general with origin story, not because I actually love origin stories,
Yeah.
especially like when you're meeting people at parties or what have you, your angle. Um, lean into it. You're the
Lean
star.
into
You're the
it.
star. And I'll be at a party and be like, "How did you meet?" And it's like, I don't know, the stars, the aura, the glowing, the when the stars collide and it creates a constellation. And even if I didn't know who was in the audience, including Hal Prince, um, like a part of me feels so warmed by that particular magic of being a witness. And that's why I love seeing things you don't know. You're like, oh, I saw you in that thing. And maybe I didn't see you afterward or get my playbill signed, but like you can see the twinkle in the eye, even if you're in the balcony seat.
Mm.
And so I appreciate you like languaging that and also sharing how the ease was there. Lots of talks, lots of walks. I love our shared memory of the opera.
Mhm.
That was my first time going to the
Same.
opera. Dude, it was
Same.
so fun,
Yeah.
and, like, I had not had an experience with, like, we haven't technically collaborated on anything yet out in public. We've collaborated on a lot of conversations.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Conversations about the possibility of the thing. Um, and truly, like, sass and snark aside, like, I think that's being in literal process over years
Mhm, mhm.
and the amount of grace and lack of judgment, and also, like, seeing me at my most actory, seeing me probably at my most petty. Like, I actually think you're the scout is like outside of some of my sister girls, one of the few people that I trust with, like, unmasking. And I think for
Mhm.
me, like, knowing that outside of the many hyphenates that you have, performer included, like, as a director, like, that courting phase, so to speak, was so important because I was like, we put on masks.
Mhm.
And I think we'll probably talk a little bit about that in
Yeah.
terms of what you're working on right now. And I think with our other project,
Mhm.
like, it was just important for me to not feel like I have to put on a mask on top of a mask on top of a mask for something that's, like, really tender, and
Mhm.
I'm choosing myself in it. And I can't wait to talk more about how you choose yourself in your art, which you're literally doing right now. Um, so yeah, lots of talks, lots of history, that the people won't get today. Um, but I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful that you came to the show. I'm really grateful for Schoolgirls. Like, Schoolgirls keeps it really is the gift that keeps on
Yeah.
giving. Schoolgirls by Jocelyn Bio. For anyone who doesn't know, what are you doing? Um, and in the sense that, like, it truly is rare to be a part of a play in New York that eventually ends up going to the West Coast, and then the cast of beautiful actors, actresses, however they deem themselves, in the UK and beyond, and just regionally, and what that play did and does for melanated
Mhm.
femmes and hopefully some thems in the
Mhm,
future,
mhm.
just talking about colorism and
Yeah.
how it can resonate with someone who's not African in the lineage
Yeah.
sense beyond
Yeah.
humanity, but we're not getting into that.
Mhm.
But also just, like, culturally, like, how it moved, I think, our industry
Mhm.
in a big way, and we're still navigating those issues in terms of colorism and casting and who gets pedestaled and
Mhm.
who doesn't. And now we're here to pedestal you.
Mm.
Um, I am, because my brain doesn't work often.
Yeah.
Um, I'm looking at notes. Yeah. So yeah, but to the pedestal. I truly, it's not that I didn't do my research, but I wanted this to be organic. So
Yeah. Please, let's flow.
the life and times
Mhm.
of Daisy
Mhm,
Forbes.
mhm.
What is this show?
Mhm.
Why are you doing it?
Mhm.
Other than because you want to, which is an answer.
Totally.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like, what's up, what's down?
This show is a long form lip sync, which I've been making those kinds of shows for the last few years. That meaning that it's a pre-recorded track that I'm lip syncing to, usually over an hour plus is what I'm deeming like uh, durational to some extent. And the piece is about a showgirl who's left at a bus stop before a major tour
Mm,
and her contending with that realization and figuring out how she got to this point, what she's wrestling with in this current moment, and what she possibly sees up ahead. And the content of the lip sync being kind of strewn together from like interviews and film scenes and pop songs and musical theater scores and a bunch of like trashy reality TV in
oh my
between
gosh.
that feels somewhat of I'm trying to create some kind of like well made play with the material that I have as somewhat of a larger narrative, which has been interesting to see like the malleability of some of these materials versus like the rigidity of like I'm still doing this number and I'm like kind of creating that uh, level or air of performance, which I think is maybe a little different than Daisy, who's been a showgirl most of her life and really just trying to scrounge and like survive in this world, and seeing already pretty close in front of her that like her time is nearing of her in this career and um, a way of life that she's done for some time. And I started to make this in the fall, and I feel like
Of 2025.
the why of it was somewhat connected to just to deep in grief,
Mhm.
um, and not knowing how to make from that space. And I don't think I've made in this profound like density of grief. I don't think I've made from that space before. So I was trying to figure out like the how and the why of creating from that space, and like what grief can be utilized as like a tool, whether that's in terms of storytelling or bringing people to a space together or what have you. And I'm still finding that journey as I'm still, pretty deep into it, or at least like, was it you and I that were talking about waves at some point?
Yeah, probably. I
Yeah.
sent you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always come back to that.
Simone Policano,
Yeah.
Waves.
And just like being okay with when I'm washed over with one, no matter how like large or small the wave might be, but like kind of staying in the present moment with that and trying to utilize both that metaphor and that understanding as a means of when I'm making the piece, whether that's like some of the material being really connected to those feelings of grief or the kind of larger call to action in the piece itself, whether to like go on and continue to push the rock up the hill or figure out what that other alternative might be, both in
Mhm.
like living and making and all the above. So it's somewhat of a autobiographical piece in that way, and it's also me creating this new character who's like still um, somewhat disconnected in some way for me
Mhm.
because of name and that origin. Like it's literally the back in the day, like in Cosmopolitan or Glamour magazine, they used to have those like like quizzes or games or like make your like porn star name. And your porn
Sure.
star name would be like your first pet and the street
Yeah.
you lived on,
Mhm.
which is literally what the name ends up being.
Oh
Not the
my
very
god.
first street I lived on, but the second one where I was like living down the street from a Playboy bunny, which felt like kismet for the name and kind of the identity that I'm trying to formulate. And the archetype of showgirl, which is somewhat explored in the piece and hopefully kind of further along uh, in other development moments, maybe more so excavated.
More so excavated.
Yeah, just the idea of the showgirl, like our like resonant connection point to it, why it's come back in the zeitgeist in some way,
Mhm.
um, and how it's somewhat of a larger marker for like femininity's connection point to queerness, and how like
Mm.
we
Mhm.
see so much of ourselves or aspire to ourselves inside of some of these people who are showgirls, whether that like moves on to like movie stars or like pop stars or like other um, kind of ripples of what a showgirl is, whether that's that like nimbleness or the ability to like be ferocious or that ability to like really fend for yourself when you're pushed into a corner. Um, that I feel like not only queerness, but a large plethora of communities are always doing day to day. So it just felt um, important to try and excavate that further in the next iteration, whether that's creating a part two or something.
Ooh, thank you for letting me just smooth
Yes,
the
do the camera work.
Yes. We don't have a whole team yet.
Mhm.
But we do. We have everything we
We
need.
do.
Which I many things you said landed in different ways. Grief, of course, came like literally today came in with I guess an unexpected wave of it
Hmm.
from where I was just before
Yeah.
meeting with you and also the possibility that was highlighted in this conversation I had with a friend and a collaborator. Um, and I'm not necessarily curious about the grief, not because I'm not curious about it, but I'm fascinated more so by the fact that, like, when I saw this was happening, I was like, "Is Daisy a real person?" Like, something energetically was just like
Mm,
was like, "Daisy must be real."
mm,
And
mm,
I don't know that there's a question or more of a thought beyond that, but I think it links to the truth of the, like, impetus for one of the impetuses, impetusi, English,
mhm.
for creating her as an avatar and or another tether for you to or like we're talking about masks, right? For
Mhm.
you to process and alchemize and transmute and also just create.
Yeah.
Because even if grief wasn't there, as an example, like I think what I know of you as a creative person is like you're gonna make shit happen. And come hell or high water. And in this instance, hell came
Mhm.
and hell comes to Daisy in a certain
Mhm.
form.
Mhm.
And I'm I'm wondering in the piecemeal of the lip sync
Yeah.
and all the different pieces, and you said briefly about something like fractals. So
Mhm.
that word always like pings whenever it's brought up.
Yes.
Um, so like the fractals of her psyche
Yeah.
are those aspects of the songs and the pieces that you use to lip sync?
Totally.
Okay.
And I tried to, as much as possible, kinda create a sense of, like, an A to B to C structure in terms of that, of, like, getting to know, like, her family life, getting to know, her, like, relationship history, getting to know, like, how she shows up in the room to, like, auditions and, like, cast parties and, like, all of these things where, like, drugs and alcohol are involved or
Mhm.
like other vices. So you kind of get a large mosaic, I guess, representation of all those fractals as we kind of like
Mm,
shift from song to speech to interview to text that I wrote
mhm,
to like other things that come up in the piece externally that kind of
mhm.
infiltrate this moment of like um reflection in some way. Um So yeah, that was kind of the hope of, like, compiling what materials were in that this point. Um, all the things to kinda lead us to some kind of, like, uh, final outpouring of some kind to feel like everything's finally been said, and, that there's been a reality that's been faced that I feel like
Mm,
a lot of the time in this particular field, and maybe more so in showgirls, it's and I'm speaking on on the eye very hardly, like, it's easy to jump into the fantasia of, like, you can push the rock up the hill, and some days, like, you're like, "Actually, no."
mhm.
And, like, what does it feel like to actually commit to that decision if it's for a week, if it's for a month, if it's for a year, or if it's, like, for the rest of your life? And that always feeling like the end point of what this, like, kind of larger reckoning feels like, um, based on the materials that I compile.
This rock. I wanna talk about this rock.
Yes.
I think like, will there ever be a time where
Oh, okay. Dawn of Time. That's
does
great.
that mean? Was that you?
I think it was
The dawn of time.
the Dawn of Dawn.
It is a retrograde.
It is a retro. We're inside of it.
We're also gonna who knows?
Yeah.
What's gonna
come out of this?
But
great.
I love it.
I love it so far.
Great.
That I think we need to step away from that singular act.
Just keep going.
Yeah, that singular act of one person trying to do this motion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think scrapped the one person. First off,
Sisyphus is cut.
Sisyphus is cut.
Got it.
I think it's going back down the hill and seeing the village that's right there.
Sure.
Being who's amongst us? How can we build coalition? And maybe try not to go up the hill yet.
Okay.
Focus on the neighboring village and tending to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe starting anew.
I think stay in the valley.
I think stay in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure everyone's okay first before going solo, being I'm gonna bring us towards salvation or myself to salvation. That singularity feels like it defeats the purpose of collective dreaming and the ability to find liberation in the body or experience or in the ways that we make. That I think because we're still trying to get to the commercial hill or the
sorry, I just had a flash of the hill is just McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, and Walmart.
Yeah, those things will still be there. Yeah. They'll be crumbling in waves that we are seeing and not seeing yet. And instead of trying to push a rock to meet up to that holy land, I think the holy land is right here. And I think if we make it amongst ourselves for ourselves, which is not new conversation at all in theatrical respects, societal respects, cultural respects, all of the above, that I think I just always go back to gardening. I always go back to tending to a land, tending to a village that is interconnected and there's a close-knit relationship to each other, and that there are those bringing back those relationships that feel that's rooted in trust and family and sorry, I just had a vision. Go ahead. That the work wants to be made from that place ideally, and that it doesn't feel like it's a excruciating pain and pain inducing experience. That is, I think, what we're kind of seeing, both of artists who we know and love that seem pretty set in a lot of ways in terms of consistent work or visibility, that everyone in between is this doesn't feel right. Maybe not everyone, but the people that I feel I'm wanting to hang out with are saying that it's not right, and it hasn't been right in that respect of the singularity of pushing a rock up the hill, or the ability to not actually be with your community and not have to sever yourself for an institution or for commercialism, and just be yes, I got up the hill, but where's everyone else? So I'm always brought back to that, which is ironic when I'm doing solo work right now, and wanting to do that actual turn and look back and do more ensemble based work or work that's with a larger family that I can routinely get back to, which at least for me feels like the ideal future of things, of just being able to have and craft home, both theatrically and living wise.
It's a good dream. You're welcome. Yeah, it's not good grading, but I will tell you my vision and the people. But yeah, both at home, in community, and in our art practice, collectivism, like you said, is this is not, we're not new idea, the collect, and it is in the zeitgeist, as it were. And as you started sharing the possibility of a new metaphor, or the activation of it, because it's not just is it possible? It's we know it is, but the thing is, we have to choose. Are you going to be Sisyphus, knowing are you going to stay in the loop? Because at some point, if you know the story, it comes back down.
Yeah.
And I think that the carrot dangle is that at the top of the hill, you will get externally validated. You will get maybe more money or more offers. But I was just like maybe 2 weeks ago, a real Halle Berry's like big comeback. But it's like the comeback is so interesting to me because it's not like, at least how I'm perceiving it, she seems really calm.
Yeah.
And some people would be like, well, of course, she's Halle Berry. And it's like,
Mm-mm.
she says she won that Oscar and the script truck didn't come.
Mm-mm.
Meanwhile, other people who I don't need to name, whatever their talent level may or may not be, in multiple, just like movie without an Oscar.
Yeah.
And there was one post that I saw also on Instagram in like the explore page, and it was, I think like, it's like 4 non-melanated women and 1 non-melanated man. And honestly, when I looked at the announcement, I was like, yeah, see, I like all these people for different reasons. Or like, I can see how you would be hired for this job, whatever the script is. Although the title of the film, I was like, I was like, I don't know, we need to talk about that. And so I was, when you go to the comments in 2026, you're most likely looking for some echo chamber, somebody saying the thought that you don't want to type out so you can just like it. That's neat. So I go into the comment section, and the people who I assume are not in the field are consumers more than they are creators or, in the field as practitioners. Everyone was hating on this one actress. Remember, everybody was not melanated, so it wasn't even. This was not race. This was white on white crime. This was white, and I was like, they were like, oh, everything looks good except for one. Why is this person here? Oh God, like one or two. I was like, okay, have your opinion, but it was like multiple, and I happen to like this person as like a soul. I've never met them. I've seen some of their work, and I don't mind it. And this person also happens to be a nepo baby. I get that argument. And I'm also like, I want it to be a family business too. You got Walmart is a family business.
Yep.
Let the like, I'm not. I do want to reframe the nepo conversation.
Yeah.
But that's something else. But essentially, the reason I bring up this like white on white crime was I was like, huh. So even at this would be the Hill essentially, like decorated, nominated actors, people that comment section plebes are like, oh, these are great actors, and then you got to single one person out because of what? And I was like, that's so harmful. Imagine what's happening for the rest of us with our non-heteronormative, non-traditional marketing, not like just making because we are here to make.
Yeah.
We're not here to make Bitcoin.
Yeah, no.
We're here like that someone else's dream. Yeah. And I was just like, what? It just like filled me with a lot, not dread necessarily, but it actually echoed feelings that I was feeling around the rollout for another film that I will not name that has melanated women in it that I'm very excited about. And then I went to the comments, and on some of the comments on separate posts were like very celebratory. Okay. And then I found other comments and I was like, oh, this is what happens when you take your like very niche thing and you bring it and you do your collective, what you just said. Yeah. And then you're like, now we're ready. And then I'm going to tell you my vision now after I share this story. And now we're ready to like bring our little pieces up to the hill and be like, look, we didn't need Sisyphus. Like he showed us one way. And like, thank you for all that you did to make sure that the Burger King was going to be here when we got here. Because, that's where we go after the Tonys at 4 a.m. You all have your McDonald's, la, 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 la. We all devolve. Yeah, like, sure. But it wasn't that. It was like so confused. And they're like, who is this? Who is that? And I'm like, whoa. When you try to take your river to the mainstream, sometimes you're like, oh, that horse is here, and that horse doesn't like us.
Mhm.
But the vision, that a brief vision that I gasped at, it's not even that deep, but thinking about like, okay, like, let's not be so rude to Sisyphus. He worked so hard. He also
Sure,
has
you put in
dreams,
the time.
but he put in the time. And I was like, as the resident woo woo,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, maybe if he just like broke up the fucking rock
Mm,
and we all had a piece of crystal. You get some
yeah.
amethyst, you get some carnelian, you
Yes.
get some quartz, you get rose, you get obsidian because you
You get a vanilla.
definitely need that.
Yeah.
You get tourmaline, and then we all have our tools, we all have our things that protect us because you're coming in with something,
Yep.
I'm coming in with something, and we do have
Mhm,
intersections,
mhm,
but at the end of the day, it's like my carnelian might not help whatever problem solve you're working through.
mhm.
So, oh, we need your Daisy Forbes in the way that the world needs my
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
no,
like,
completely.
and then it's like we bring that to, and it's very like, I've never seen those fucking Avengers films, but like the stones,
Yeah.
the infinity
Yes.
effing stones.
Yeah.
It's like Sisyphus, like, my guy,
Mhm.
it's a boulder.
Yeah, let's break it up a bit.
Let's break it up a bit
Yeah.
so we can digest it.
Mhm.
And then when we come, we build it up like a freaking golem.
Yeah.
And then we go home, and then we have an easy, light
Yeah.
trip back down.
Yeah. I love that.
We do a
That's
little,
so
and maybe
funny.
you get an extra couple rocks and your McDonald's fries.
Yeah.
Sorry,
You're
I
ready for the
really
next
shouldn't be talking about
time.
McDonald's.
Mhm.
Boycott, but yeah, like,
Yeah.
for the next time.
Mhm.
And the next time, okay, like, last time I had a little bit of amethyst and,
Mhm.
like, I still have that, but, oh, I actually need some lapis.
Yeah.
And then you really start to figure out what are the tools I need for this particular thing
Mhm.
that I'm making right now.
Yeah.
I think we have been in that conversation for one of our projects, and I think that segues into, like, how did you build your little infinity stone of collaborators for this particular project? Because what I've heard
Mhm.
is it's been very intimate,
Mhm.
and, the back and forth of like, "I'm doing this alone, and then I have a friend helping me with this."
Mhm.
But then, creating solo show, but it's never solo.
Yeah.
There's always someone collaborating. Like, how many people were involved in Sarah Snook's solo
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
right?
Lots and lots of people.
So how did you approach the wonderful task of team building for this?
Yeah.
We're at 37.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Um, I think for me with this one, it's been kind of usual suspects of folks that I've been working with on this type of work, I guess, for the last few years. Like my sound designer, Camila Ortiz, has been doing my last 3 shows, including like outside work of like university stuff that I can hire her for. Incredible sound designer. Um, and because it's a lip sync, I'm primarily working, with her as my like main collaborator.
Mhm.
And especially with this, as we were like building the lip sync itself, giving edits, like talking about dynamics, like really getting to the like orchestration of the piece in a lot of ways. And then Zach Lobel, who's my lighting designer, who also does video for me sometimes as well, has done my last 3 or 4 shows. Those two have been my like dynamic duo because that's usually like the most amount of elements I'm able to have for these like one night only experiences is like lights and sound. So they've been like with me for everything,
Mhm.
and really like trusted, fun, make it easy kind of individuals that I really just enjoy feeling supported by. Um, and then I brought on a scenic designer, which I feel like I don't usually get the opportunity to, even if it's like a gesture for what the design of the world wants to be. And it's Anton Volbasek, who's really wonderful. We've been starting to become friends over the last few years, but wanted a chance to work together. This is our first chance. Um, but already, like us going to like Material for the Arts the other day was like really fun and like also easy and um, yeah, just like creative solutioning in a way that felt engaging and active and not a headache in any way, which
Mhm.
something like this, which it's so like DIY, it's nice to have that energy. Um, and then Jules is doing costumes, which is beautiful and wonderful, and we just had a fitting on Saturday. Saturday, yeah,
Nice.
which was wonderful.
Nice memory.
Yeah,
Can't
I
help
think
you.
I think I think it was whenever that was. Yeah, and like because of the larger constellation of our connection point to Jules, or at least mine, um, there was like an unknowing amount of trust already going into the process that I was like just so comfortable with that like I didn't know what that was going to mean when we were actually collaborating in the room, but I was like, I know I'm going to feel like at home.
Mm.
And that was like proven true in like less than 2.5 seconds, both just in terms of like our energies colliding, what they were already preparing, and it being like so like on the nose in a beautiful way, and like really understanding the piece, doing like a lot of dramaturgical work because of that. That was like very visible, and like there was so much care that was there and is there, in their being, but also in the work that we're making. There was like, yeah, it just it fills my well in a lot of ways. Yeah, that I was just really floored by, and excited to continue to make with them. And I have a stage manager, which is nice, and also serving as like an assistant director to just give like a extra eye. Who's Jay Kiffin, who's a recent grad from Pace that I've met and become friendly with. And that's our kind of makeup of our team for LaGuardia on the 14th.
Okay.
And then it kind of widens out a little bit as we get to La Mama. With a production manager who's worked with me before, Brittany Coyne, is really great, and a impact producer that we brought on, Federica Borlendi, who's really wonderful. Brittany I've known since I ushered at St. Anne's like 10 years ago.
Okay. Okay, St. Anne's.
St. Anne's Warehouse, coming out with the maids soon, which is crazy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, speaking of Snook, that same director who did Dorian Gray
Thank you.
is doing the maids at St. Anne's Warehouse.
With who?
I have no idea. I just saw the cover art and it looks kind of insane. Okay. Anywho. So I've known her for a while, and hilarious individual who just last time we worked together was actually in this building. Yeah, just very great. And then Federica, new friend, but like very like engaged, hyper focused, and like very caring, and like it's just nice to give over some of the reins to someone else at the producerial side, where there's a lot of that is me, myself, and I, which is training.
What do you mean?
It's not
draining. And cut to right. We don't want you drained. That's awesome. Was that the like culmination of your peoples?
And isn't not officially on yet, but like has been providing dramaturgical support. And if we get this residency in California in the summer, we would then link up and start to work together on it. And her name is Maddie Williams, incredible dramaturg, teaches at Cal Poly. We met assisting on, well, she was a dramaturg and I was assistant director on this Rashid Joseph play at Chautauqua that Lamar Perry, is a wonderful director on the West Coast, was directing. And then it was just like another, we felt a kinship in our geriatric experience, both in terms of like the kinds of movies we like to watch, and like and like our sayings, and like
who's geriatric?
No, still she's like much younger than I am. Still,
no,
so it's like it's hilarious that we have those.
That's so funny.
But yeah, that's the team at large.
Sorry, I was listening, and I am listening.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking at what's happening over there, how it looks on a cellular device versus
big as that Instagram.
Yeah,
I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's a pretty stellar amalgamation of humans, and I say that because I love when I don't know people. I'm like, great, more friends in the village.
Yeah.
To get to learn about, and especially when it comes to, I know a lot of performers. I'm sure you know a lot of performers, and I feel like I know like a healthy amount of directors and some designers. Like if I really needed to like put together a design team, I could figure it out, but like not top of mind. I would need to like really pray
Yeah,
about it.
totally.
And so I'm inspired by like how teams get put together for
Mhm,
something like a solo show that's starting in one place and
mhm,
going to a more traditional theater space
yeah,
and then whatever's
yeah.
next. Is there a next?
We'll be at La Mama for a weekend, May 21st to the 24th,
Mhm.
and, after that, it's pretty open, utilizing La Mama as kind of a launch pad as much as possible, um, both in terms of, first time of having a weekend run of a show, which, will feel nice,
Mhm.
and just getting more folks in there, which ideally wants to be, like, a large, uh array of folks, both in terms of like lived experience and communities, but also in terms of like thinking about presenters and producers, but more so looking at regional aspirations and international than
Okay.
continuation of New York.
Mhm.
It's just been really proven to me when doing some of these lip syncs in non metropolitan or like hyper preachy to the choir cities like a New York in terms of seeing work that like it actually feels a little dangerous to do the type of work that I do.
Mm, mhm.
And for that, it feels like there's actually some work being done, whether
Mhm.
that's like trying to open some minds or like they probably have never seen something like this
Mhm.
before, like whatever the newness of that is, whether that's like the good, the bad, the ugly, like anything in between, that I feel much more activated by than like trying to fit into a New York institution where I think that just maybe not the bag for like a longer run or
Yeah.
a residency or both of those things in one thing, which would also be nice. But I think just like to think what the power of the work can be doesn't serve its fullest purpose, I think, in those kinds of centers. Um, I think touring is, kind of the hope and dream. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Uh, and like you mentioned this sort of generally, but like
Hmm.
specifically, if you could go into who, yes, like regional markets, but
Hmm.
like more specific, like do you have ideas about which regions, which states, what types of people?
Yeah.
Like not to, like I actually didn't really introduce myself, but hey, I'm here, guys. Hey, founder, CEO. But like I'm once again curious and interested in like beyond like queer community.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
could be it. That could be the answer. But like who if your if your now North Star is pointed towards like, oh, I want to do this where it feels like work and maybe a little not dangerous, but like
Hmm.
activating
Hmm.
and confronting and um where 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 the newness of you, even if you've been in your body for as long as you've been
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
body and you've had maybe outlets of representation, whether it's reality shows or
Hmm.
drag shows or XYZ, so that's been normalized for you culture-wise,
Yes.
like how does that fit into, like, where you want to be and who you want to be seen by?
Yeah.
Even if you know, like, "I don't really wanna be seen by you, but actually this will add another flavor
Yeah.
to what I'm doing because you're not my desired demographic," which is what
Hmm.
I usually ask about,
Hmm.
but it is a certain desire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is your desire?
Yeah. I think like going like right smack in the middle, like back to Kansas City, Missouri is like both as like a location for me when I worked on Schoolgirls was like really insane. A, because like they'd never seen a play like that at Kansas City Rep. And also like the coalition building in Kansas City amongst theaters was just like burgeoning.
Mm,
And there was something really interesting about like them being on the ground floor figuring out what that means. and it feels like it's a city with a lot of beautiful and rich history that has an openness and an understanding and some kind of like room for challenge of like what work they're seeing in front of them that I think
Mhm.
is like really healthy
Mhm.
and like much more diverse in thought than like the preaching to the choir that can happen in New York unless we're behind closed doors and people are actually saying what they feel like. Like there feels like there's a there's this room there, both like physically and like um philosophically about like the work and how it should engage with audiences and all of that. That feels really right for me. Um, or like other cities, like Baltimore, which I love deeply and always curious about their kind of DIY scene, which has been really um, prevalent and has a rich history as well. Um, but those are kind of the big two for me that are kind of coming up as like there feels like a lot of work to jump into in a new environment in that way. And also like the work can feel like it's going to learn so much because of those environments, both in terms of like the content, the form in which it's engaging with audiences and um yeah, and kind of everything else.
I love those too. Well, I have been to thank you
Yeah.
for those very specific answers. We can work with that. I have been to Missouri. I call it misery. And my experience wasn't miserable, but
Yeah.
it just is there. It's in the name.
Mhm.
And Baltimore, as you know, I was recently there, and I think one of your contributors uh, to your campaign was telling me that it's like the place to produce.
Yeah.
Um, if you see this, Baltimore, Tracy Turnblad tried to tell us.
Mm.
But yeah, because they were able to flip basically like a $1,400 investment into 10K or something like that. So just speaking numbers wise and like resourcing yourself and your collaborators or the next project or what have you, I think like there definitely is a framework that's happening there, as you already know from your own experience. And as the landscape is shifting everywhere and, celebrities are in Baltimore now. And I'm
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
okay, so yeah, okay, okay. I think it's the new Hollywood, as they say. So I'm very excited about that aspect of what you're calling in. And also Kansas City.
Yeah.
Um, and wherever else Daisy wants to go. Um, as we should probably wrap this up
Yeah, I think there's a group coming in a minute.
in 1 minute. Oh, it is. Oh, we started late. No, no. I do. We do. Thank you for the extra time, but I do definitely want to. We're right on time.
Yeah.
This is going to be super quick.
Yeah.
So to close with Scout Davis, how would you writer,
Mhm. Mhm,
performer
mhm.
for Daisy
Yeah,
Forbes
yeah.
and producer?
Sure.
Okay,
Sure. Yeah.
but you ran the campaign.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. Yes. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for
so
reminding
so fiscal
me.
fiscal producer, fiscal development
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
aficionado.
uh-huh.
We'll work on it. And
Totally.
genius mind and heart, Scout Davis.
Oh,
Please call them Scout. And myself here, Mirror Eye Pie Demoyo. I finally landed on it. I really just did not want to be a CEO. I thought that was crazy. Um, but it is. I'm telling you this because you're the first to hear it out loud, and then everybody else who's here who's us. Chief Empress Oracle.
now it makes sense.
At first, I have a friend. She said, "Now it makes sense." It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend who is a founder as well,
Uh-huh.
and she was like chief empowerment officer.
Mhm.
And we talked about the word officer, and I was like in their courses for the business, but I just like was like, oh, officer. But neither of us wanted executive, like
Yeah.
none of that language. So that's the thing. So that's who we are in this moment. And in this moment, identities aside, names aside, I want to know two things. You already know what it is, but I'm gonna tell you again. How do you defy expectations? And how do you practice joy? I'm gonna give a caveat.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the right word, but essentially outside of being a creative,
Mhm.
like, how do you say yes to that's the joy practice part of it. How do
Yeah.
you say yes to yourself? So something that, like, if you can find it, that's not what we do to, like, fill our souls up.
Yeah. I believe I try and defy expectations. Well, especially within myself and just in terms of, like, sticking it out, whether that's, like, in a new situation or a new environment, which for me can bring up a lot of anxieties and imposter syndrome and all of the things. I feel like I'm defying my own expectations of, like, building endurance
Mm.
and, like, the itchiness and the, like, pride and the lack thereof and everything, like, being able to define my own expectations in terms of that and stick it out, I think is really important. And I think I'm finding joy, and I don't think this is new for me, but being able to, like, lean fully into crafting space to be in these moments is, like, always nature and
Hmm.
always, being in, like, moments of stillness. Like, even this summer, I'm, like, not a bugs person at all, but
No?
no. But then I was, like, watching ants and, like, looking at, like, butterflies that were flying around,
Mm.
this camp I was at in Maine and, like, just being like, "Okay, I could, yeah, be in this forever and find, like, the healing balm of, like, what I need in that moment, like, very immediate." Like, it's the most immediate gratification, like, beyond the technology that we're all consumed by. Like, it's, like, so, um yeah, it's just so immediate that I, always find joy in that kind of space. But yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
May you find oh, I pressed a button and then I thought the whole thing was gonna collapse. Um, thank you for sharing everything and for everything that you could share in this time frame, and I'm very excited to continue to tell people about what you're creating, how you're creating it, for yourself and others as a purple print beyond the
Mm,
blueprint.
mm.
Um, and I'm glad you're defying your own expectations and that you are building endurance through your durational performance and sticking it to the folks that need to be stuck to glitch and nature.
Yeah.
Nature is healing, not ironic. All right. That's
Yeah!
all for us. Let's see if we can share this slim. We
Oh,
did
yeah, we
it.
did it!
Hopefully it saves.
Yes. Save it to the archive.
Okay,
Bye.
I'm ending it. Let's see. And